And also, so if Oxford is at risk from violent extremism, can you tell me from whom and where, please?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I can only imagine that the councillor is referring to the group called Roshni. Roshni's coordinator is a woman by the name of Jamila Azad. As is entirely appropriate, Roshni applied to the council for a grant under this scheme. At the point of first application, I didn't know Jamila, and it was considered in the round of all of the grants that were considered, and it was decided to allocate some money to this organisation which runs activities and a social and community group for women from particularly the Pakistani community, but more widely the Muslim community. It then became, at the point in which the grant was eligible to be renewed, I had an acquaintance with the coordinator.
Sorry, we can cut all this. No, it's just a straightforward question. Did she receive money, and is she now standing as a candidate? It's quite straightforward. We don't have to drag it out all night.
Please, Stuart, let her finish. Okay.
At the point at which the grant became eligible for renewal, it was clear that I had an interest in the decision and that another member of the Strategy and Commissioning Group had an interest, and so we weren't part of that decision, and the grant was assessed independently. The same would be the case if, for example, a member of the council was employed by the Citizens Advice Bureau or something like that. There was no difference in procedure. As to your second point, I'm not sure that I'm avoiding the question. There has, of course, been an assessment carried out about the nature and likelihood of extremism in Oxford. I do not believe that that assessment showed that there was a high likelihood of extremism causing problems for us in Oxford.
No. Moving on to your second question, Stuart, to which you've also got an answer.
Yeah, well, again, I'd like a supplementary. This actually completely fails to address the questions of how splitting communities along ethnic and religious lines and funding the propagation of religious dogma can in any way go towards fighting religious extremism or violent extremism. It doesn't answer the question at all, so I would like your opinion on that, please. As I said earlier on in that corporate plan, engage more young people to integrate, it says, and you're now advocating the opposite. Yeah? So can you please explain to me the rationale? I don't want you pointing to me some website or anything. I'm asking you, as the portfolio holder, to explain. I don't think you can explain it. I don't think that you can. So I'm asking you, can you please explain to me the rationale behind this document?
Once again, I thank the councillor for the opportunity to set out my views and enjoyed reading his views at length in his question. You'll see that I've given the answer about the programme. There is contained within that a link to the rationale and the reason that the programme has come into being in the way that it has. And in addition, there is a link to the strategy for Oxford and an invitation to all members to discuss this further after the elections, when we can hopefully be joined by some new members. I'm sure existing members will have an interest. As to my personal views, actually thinking about it, I think it is reasonable and responsible for a council to take an interest in community cohesion issues within the area for which it has responsibility. I think it is appropriate for a council to seek to strengthen the credibility of mainstream institutions that can hinder otherwise underrepresented parts of the community in raising the issues that they feel are of concern, and in helping families and young people strengthen their resilience against co-option by extremist ideologies.
Can I just say one thing? This is very, very important. I think this is disgraceful that you're trying to split our communities. Most of the people who have carried out terror attacks come from middle class, well-educated, university-educated people who carry out terror attacks. They know the Quran. Right? It doesn't come from council estates, very rarely. It doesn't come from people down in the county road. Right? This doesn't come from people on the county road. They don't need to have...
We'll suspend council if need be. Suspend.
How can you say that splitting into
Suspended.
along ethnic and religious lines can go towards community cohesion? If you would ask my question, suspend the meeting. I'll tell you what, what's the point in answering questions if you don't get the answer? That's not democracy. You're walking out because you can't answer the question. It's ridiculous. You can come back in now, children.
Have we got a spare there?
We've got a spare there. If you pass palace policies now, we make better policies.
So they're going to bring the ball back, are they?
So bring them all back in and carry the games to match.
No. Chief Executive wants to say something.
The Lord Mayor has asked me to clarify why the meeting was suspended. It's the second time this evening when I've had to recommend to the Lord Mayor that the business of the council be stopped because members are not respecting the chair in terms of the chair is directing someone to speak or not to speak. And it's impossible for the Mayor, in the respect of chairing a meeting, to do that unless members are willing to do that. When the Lord Mayor stands in the council meeting, it is obligatory for members to sit down and to be quiet so that she can then direct the meeting to move on to the next business or for the member to be heard. And that clarifies why the meeting was suspended.